Hey guys, welcome back to the Atypical Declutter Game. My name is April and this is Atypical Life. Today is day 10, use it one more time. Okay, so just be warned, this tip might backfire, but it's one of my favorites. So I have mentioned before that I take pleasure in enjoying the things in my house. This is a way for me to do that with an eye towards decluttering. So an example of this is right now my son and I are reading through his books. We aren't done, but as we've gone through, we're sorting them into keep, maybe let go piles. So far, it looks like we're probably even get rid of about a third of them. He's recently started kind of growing out of the more simple stories that we read when he was little. So it's fun to kind of go through them one more time and enjoy them together. And then I let him decide, hey, do we want to keep these? And then, I have veto power. He knows that. And, work together on decluttering that. We're also working through some board games and puzzles, and that's super fun. Hey, let's play this game and see if we want to keep it. He loves this. This is super fun for him. It's super fun for me because then once again I get one more use out of the thing and I'm like, okay, we can let this go. I can say thank you to it and we can let it go. Sometimes I pull out all the clothes that I'm unsure about for the season or for whatever season. And I try to wear them in the order of how they're hanging. That's one way to do it. If I can't force myself to wear it or I don't enjoy it when I do wear it, I am okay to let it go. It feels good to me at that point. So you get the point. Another example would be if you have a hobby that you've been putting off, try to set aside an hour sometime during the week or even in a month and just do the hobby, commit to doing the hobby and see if it feels the same. Or if it just can't happen, you keep trying to schedule it in and it keeps not happening, you might realize, I just don't have time for this right now. And the thing is, sometimes it does feel really good. Sometimes you do realize that you've stopped reading something that you really enjoyed and you can put it back in your routine and you can put it back on your shelf and you can put it back in your closet, and that's cool too. Sometimes you realize that you do still like it. But then there's those times when you're just like, hey, I can't do this right now. I can't use it right now. I don't have time for this right now. I'm not enjoying this right now. And maybe you should let it go or even put it in storage. I will caution, if you're deciding on storage, really think about it. Is it really something that you're going to come back to, and is it replaceable? And how much, how easy is it to replace? Storing things isn't always the best solution. So if you feel like you can let it go, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise, use it and then be okay. Either keep it or let it go. Put it back where it belongs. Anyways, that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. Do you do this? I think that this is I don't hear about it as commonly, but I do hear people occasionally say that they have some version of this. So let us know what your version is. Don't forget to post your progress on Instagram. It's #AtypicalDeclutterGame, and let us know what you think down below. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
So most importantly, we did keep the cat. She loves to be involved in family activities. So this was an example of all the things, or a handful of things, that we got out one afternoon, and my son and I used it one more time. We played with it all one more time. We worked the puzzles. We opened the Paw Patrol watch, and it was actually broken. He turned on his little toys that I haven't played with him forever. But it was a good moment for him to realize, oh yeah, these things are too baby for me. Examples of something that I might do in my life would be like makeup, play with my makeup one more time, or, use a kitchen appliance one more time. So this can be applied to all kinds of different things. And another note, I want to get back to working with your kids, but another thing to be conscious of is that, especially when you first start doing this with kids, they might want to keep more. And that's okay. It's about trying to condition them, get them used to this idea. And as they do it more and more, as you do it more and more with them, they actually become more and more willing to start to let go of things. But I want to make a whole video about teaching techniques you can use with your kids. So this is day 11. This is 110 items. I can see that there's more than 10 items here, but sometimes I just groups of small things together just because if I counted every single little small thing every time, every piece of paper, then I would never, ever, ever make very much progress. So
Hey guys, welcome back to the Atypical Declutter Game. My name is April and you are at Atypical Life. Today is day 11. So in a pre-COVID world when somebody said we could declutter pretty much anything because we could just run out and get it tomorrow, I felt pretty comfortable with that. But something happened during COVID that just re-triggered something in me that I had been working through for a long time and I had finally made some progress on. But that thing was the poverty scarcity complex. The poverty complex is something that often happens to people who survive the trauma of not knowing where the next thing is coming from. People who have grown up in or experienced situations where there's been major shifts in the income, job losses, availability of goods, people whose parents were just terrible at managing money, so they would end up having to go without or ask for favors because there just wasn't enough resources. There are so many scenarios that lead people to have this pattern of thinking where they want to hold on to whatever they have because they aren't sure where the next thing will come along. We all even kind of do this sometimes with relationships. We're not sure where the next boyfriend will be, so we hold on to the one that's not so great, right? This also plays out on a spectrum, and you don't have to have experienced poverty or scarcity or any major trauma to develop this type of mindset. I even believe that many of our grandparents passed this on to us because of their living through WW2 and the Great Depression. And let's be honest, it's not necessarily a terrible mindset to have, depending on where you fall on the spectrum, depending on your current circumstances. It's cool to be a little more reluctant to trash something you might find another use for. In a world of disposable everything, it's okay to want something a little more permanent. It's also a way of thinking that might help you be a little more prepared for your future and not always having to rely on chance to get you through. You're actually saving in preparation for something. So yeah, it's not terrible. It's just depends on what your goals are, whether it's an issue or not. I was talking to a fellow decluttering friend and she mentioned the impact that COVID had on her decluttering. She found decluttering a lot harder now as well than it was before. And like I said, I experienced this big time. During COVID, the majority of decluttering stopped completely for me. The wheels absolutely reversed. It was like a train. And suddenly I was leaning more towards hoarding again. Why? Why during COVID the poverty scarcity complex would come up? I mean, the world suddenly seemed so much more unstable and insecure than it previously felt. Whether that's true or not, whether that's a perception or not, it just felt that way for sure for a lot of people. There were, supply chain issues became the new headline, and not leaving your house for extended periods of time was the norm. Economic instability, inflation, job changes, all these different fluctuations, different types of, misinformation, all these different things that were information and misinformation and just so much going on that it is no wonder it's something that has to do with security might feel triggered in a lot of us. And so suddenly the idea that we can just replace it for $20 in 20 minutes became so much more complicated. Going out of the house for entertainment wasn't really likely for many people. And so that made for us at our house investments in toys and books, home entertainment tripled at least. The amount of stuff we owned in those categories before COVID, it tripled because we used to go out a lot for our entertainment and we didn't need as many toys because we were outside doing things for entertainment, like I said. So the point is, you might have experienced this too, and it's okay. It's absolutely normal. It's something I think a lot of us deal with. And if you grew up in unstable situations, you might struggle with this a little more frequently. It might be a little more difficult. I haven't figured out any way to change how the brain functions around this yet. The only thing that I know of that we can do is accept that it's part of who we are. And understand that sometimes we will have a harder time than others letting things go. Sometimes we will have to be more aware of our brains scheming to come up with a whole bunch of ways that we might use something in the future. And we'll have to really ask ourselves, are any of these scenarios likely to occur? It's okay to be nervous about letting something go and doing it anyways. I always tell my son, and I read this somewhere, that the definition of being brave is doing something when you are afraid of it. There is no bravery without fear. Making positive changes in your life requires bravery from time to time. So it's okay. It's okay to declutter afraid. Do it afraid. Have you ever heard that? Do it afraid. Do it if you're not quite sure. Now, if you feel really uncomfortable, don't do it. But if you're just a little bit afraid, sometimes it's okay. It's also okay to not declutter right now. It's okay to put things on hold, put things back until you are emotionally ready or until you are more emotionally secure. Just focus, if you're going to do that, just focus on the things that you can do right now. If there are certain items that you're comfortable letting go of, go ahead and start with those. Start by making a list of what makes something trash. So define what trash is to you and really challenge yourself to just go and find the trash laying around for a while until you get up a little bit more security, until you feel a little bit better. If you find yourself really, really stuck after having run through all these tips that I'm sharing with you, there's tips out there everywhere for decluttering, ask for help. Okay, you can ask for help, for perspective. You can ask questions here. You can ask questions for some of these other ladies that are doing decluttering websites. A lot of them have live groups. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get help. There's also counseling. BetterHelp is a really good resource. But you can ask for help and you can give it a rest and just focus on tidying until you feel a little bit more secure in your life and situations. I found that tidying is a good replacement for if you can't declutter. At least you can kind of keep things up, and that will help your brain still feel that sense of calm that comes from having your house decluttered. As long as your extra stuff, now I say all this, but I want to definitely note that don't worry about it until later, as long as your extra stuff isn't, I say all this, but I really want to drive home that don't worry about it till later works, as long as your extra stuff isn't a hazard or isn't causing major problems for you. At that point, it can't wait, okay? If it's either of those things, I would really suggest counseling or reaching out to a friend or family member and really talking about it and getting serious and letting them help you come up with some kind of plan to work through this. Don't let anybody try to force you to declutter. I think that is, unless you're on like Hoarders or something, don't let anybody try to force you to declutter, but maybe start counseling with someone who can help you work through these thoughts of insecurity.
This is one of those instances where I really wanted to go do what I was talking about in the video and check for things that I was holding on to because of supply issues or availability issues or money. And I mean, it was really easy. It was really, really easy. And I knew exactly where to look. I know that I had these things on my mind. So let's just talk about really quick a few of these things. Like the cherry, there's the food, the 2 cherry foods or whatever, and the ranch. I was like, I need to use those, even though they're not really even something that I want to use. Now the ranch I would like to use, but it was pretty expired at this point. And I was like, oh, I could probably use it if I could use it right now, but I normally use it for something I cook around the holidays. And like I said, it was pretty expired. So I'm like, let's just let it go. And I had already replaced it. So it was like trying to get that extra $1 or $2 out of it. The same with the cherry stuff. I ended up with those. One was like a cute little gifty thing, and the other was meant for a pie I had made over the holidays, and it didn't end up getting used. I don't, and it's not something I even would eat on a regular basis. That's why we didn't use it when we made the pie. In the CVS bag is some medicine that was super expired, but it was also dry medicine. Wasn't mixed. So I was like, okay, well, I can hold on to this, but it was very, very expired at this point. And a lot of that comes down to a fear. Growing up, I didn't have good health insurance. I didn't have, even in college, I didn't have health insurance. So you did things getting medicine was really hard and really expensive. And you did, it was just you just didn't, the tea, once again, just expired tea that I'm like, oh, I might drink one day when I'm sick. I have stuff. Okay. I have stuff that I can have when I'm sick. The marrow box, once again, a container. I can use this for something else. How often do I can use this. I've put an issue, and I just had this conversation at the beginning of this challenge with the shoe boxes. Okay. The contacts, those were interesting. My doctor gave me those. I hated them. But I'm like, oh, what if? I hated them. They didn't work for me, but what if? What if I could use them? Same with them. Those are like little shea butter sticks, or not shea, but beeswax sticks. I was like, oh, I can come up with a use for that. And then this rose absolute essential oil. Like, I have been holding on to that for so long because it's really expensive, but it doesn't even smell good anymore. But I'm just holding on to it because it was like super expensive. So I thought that was just kind of a fun way to really go look at my stuff. I really encourage you to do this, and I really encourage you to keep this top of mind, because I think this is one of the biggest challenges for people that to their decluttering, that they don't even, a lot of people don't even have the language to talk about it. So I thought this one was really important. I hope that it was helpful for you. If you're in the same boat, I get it. I'm with you. Don't feel judged. Talk about it. Let's all talk about it, because it's fine.
So let us know in the comments if this is something that you struggle with, and if you do, you're in good company. Believe me, I know that I am. I know I've talked to several people who felt kind of triggered by everything that's been going on. Yeah, and just let us know. Don't forget to post your progress pics on A.Typical or on Instagram, #A.Typical Declutter, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye! Hey everyone, welcome back to the A.Typical Declutter Game. My name is April and you are at A.Typical Life. Today is day 12. This is the $1,000 question. So over the summer I was super stressed. Trying to keep up the housework, trying to keep it under control, the vacations plan, the meals plan, make sure my kid was supervised and everywhere he needed to be and entertained. And it was truly a challenge. So I started really fantasizing when my house was just in the midst of all of this chaos and disaster. I started really fantasizing, and I was fantasizing about hiring help. I needed help so bad. I wanted help so bad. Mind you, it wasn't really in the budget for me, but like I said, this is a fantasy. So I mentioned yesterday about the poverty complex and how that I said, and over COVID, I'd really been having a hard time letting things go. Well, part of my problem, the biggest part of my problem, was that things had started piling up again, and I hadn't been able to release anything for a long time, and I had been bringing a lot of stuff in. So the storage was overflowing, and I wasn't able to keep the house clean in the way that I would like to, and I still couldn't let anything go, even though I kind of knew what the problem was. And the more I thought about it, the more I just started to realize I might need some help. It might be time. Like, as much experience as I have with this, as much, knowledge that I have about the subject, like, I don't know if I can do it again. I'm not able to let anything go. So I had been following someone in my area. She was on Facebook. She does a little bit of decluttering and organizing, but she's mostly like just someone who cleans houses. So she's not like some sort of like professional organizer or anything. And as far as I can tell, there's not really any of those in my area. But I thought, okay, this woman could probably help me for a reasonable price, and maybe this is it. So I started planning. As soon as my son went back to school, I was going to schedule this woman. And although it wasn't in the budget, like I said, I was super desperate. I thought that I could probably get a pretty good amount of help. Let's just say I was guessing around $1,000. And I thought that we could make some really good progress for that amount of money. And I sat with that for a few days. And as I started trying to declutter as I go, like I would normally do, I realized that suddenly I was able to let go. I was able to let go of a lot of things. And I was like, what's going on here? And I started thinking about it. And I was like, I think subconsciously I've been asking myself, is this worth $1,000 to me? Is keeping this half-used product that I don't really like worth $1,000 to me? And the realization that I was really considering paying someone to help me with a lot of money, it just changed my perspective. It changed my perspective on, like, here I am holding on to something because I'm afraid that I couldn't afford to replace it, or that I couldn't find it again, or whatever. You know what I mean? Here I am holding on to it for that. But now I'm considering paying someone a very large sum of money. So I can either get it together and I can do this myself, or I can pay someone. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with paying someone to help you with this process at all. If you need help, get help. But I know how to do this. My mind was just really stuck on wanting to keep everything. And as soon as I changed my perspective, as soon as I put it in this perspective, I was like, hold up, I can buy 20 more of these things for less than $1,000. Let it go. And I went through my house for the next couple weeks like Elsa and was just like, let it go, let it go. I was letting it go, everything. And still am. Like, this is where I'm at now. This was a recent revelation for me. So today, when you're considering whether you want to keep something, imagine you are getting ready to pay someone to help you and ask, is it worth $1,000 to have someone come and help you figure out how to keep this item? It's a good question.
When I look at this group of items in the context of, is it worth $1,000? I feel a bit embarrassed because I know how long that I've been holding on to these particular items for various reasons and been incredibly unable to declutter them. Yeah, and just thinking about them in this context, they're basically like worthless items. There's a couple things that I can sell. So let's just go through them really quickly. We have the insoles for a pair of running shoes. I held on to them. I don't know why, because I had replaced them with new insoles. The other pair of insoles is something I got an accidental misshipment from Amazon that doesn't fit anybody in my house or in my life, and I just need to donate those. The face masks come from a time in my life when I was doing a lot of DIY beauty. I don't even have time to use the beauty products that I have bought and paid for, so I don't think I even paid that much for those, so why am I holding on to them for so long? The brush mitt is something that I just recently decided I wasn't using, so I'm not super embarrassed about that. But it's an oven mitt, but I was using it to clean my brushes, but then I found a replacement that's easier. No biggie there. The neck hammock was given to me as a duplicate to put in a basket of something that never happened. So I just need to pass that along or sell it because it's actually a really nice, I have one and I really, really love it. And then like I was going to exchange my Del Sol sunglasses because the coating isn't working. Like I'm not ever going to do that. Like I've not done it in 2 years. Like I'm just not going to do it. An empty beauty blender container because I don't know, that one was really different. I don't have any empty containers like this. I might find something to use it for. And then all of these random, there's a lot of like shoe items here, like blister and callus, and then like shoe tips for grass, like all of this stuff. I have been holding on to these. My wedding, and that was in 2013, okay? My heart hurts just thinking of that.
All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Let me know your thoughts down below on, is it worth $1,000 to you? Also, let me know if you've ever hired anyone to help you in person. I'm so curious. I would love to know about that process. And yeah, just let us know in the comments. Post your progress pics on A.Typical Declutter, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.